Our next speaker is someone who has been a real force for the last 18 or so years in the video game industry. She's a designer and a producer, and in 2013 won the Microsoft Women and Girls Award for Innovation, and she's been continuing to innovate ever since, before then and still. We're very lucky right now, too, to have Heather Kelly on the faculty at the Entertainment Technology Center. So please help me welcome Heather Kelly.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you, Cheryl. So, so I'm Heather Kelly, and I want to actually talk to you about something you wouldn't expect from a game designer, and that is the chemical senses. We just heard about like the wide variety of senses, and I want to talk a little bit about the chemical senses in interactive entertainment, especially because these senses have been used to make things like smell. You know, it made King Kong seem more realistic that he had banana breath. So, but we've been using these senses as a kind of way to boost a feeling of realism. But I think they're going to become more and more important in the choices that guests, visitors, players make when they're in an exhibit. So I want to talk about that because I think that's a very interesting challenge, and not very many people have tackled that. We need to be ready. So just a little bit of background about the thing that I'm doing lately. As Cheryl mentioned, I'm a video game designer and producer, and I'm a part of a 4-person collective called Kokoromi. And we are working on a VR game that should be indeed out next year in 2016, the big year when all the VR stuff is going to be happening. So this is Super Hypercube, and this is what I'm working on when I'm working in front of my glowing rectangle. But it's also going to be on the PlayStation system, so that's important to know. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about this. Does anyone recognize what this is referencing? Specifically, like, do you know what these little pastries are at the bottom? Madeleines, exactly, yes. So I don't know if you've heard of the Proustian moment. It's that moment when your sense of smell or taste evokes some kind of incredible memory. Well, the author Proust smelled this, dipped the Madeleine in the tea, and it took him back like decades in time, and he ended up writing like a 7-volume autobiographical novel about his life, starting it all with this smelling this Madeleine. And so we know that these senses are very important, but the question is, how do we work with them? And I want to show you some different things that are happening right now, a couple of other exhibits, and just to sort of set the stage for what I think the future is going to hold for this. This is an exhibit called the Tate Sensorial. So if you're over there at Dismaland, you can also stop by the Tate and see this exhibit. It's up for, I think, a few more weeks. They extended it. It was so popular. It's an exhibit where they have 4 pieces of the art from their collection, paintings, and they've put them in these rooms that you have to walk in individually one by one, and each one is accompanied by different sensory things that were designed by perfumers, chocolatiers, sound designers, and other kinds of sensory designers. And each one has these things that are themed around that particular image, but are inspired by it, but are not trying to like replicate it. So, and the other interesting thing is they're giving everyone who goes in a wristband that's taking biometric data, and there is a team at the Sussex Computer-Human Interaction Lab at University of Sussex, headed up by Mariana Obrist, who are going to be taking that data from people that went through this exhibit and then analyzing it. Another project, it looks really humble, but this is, I think, one of the most exciting things I've seen and played in the world of this kind of sensory interaction in games. It's a game created by 5 students at Concordia University, and it's called, Death Whiff 3000. So it looks maybe a little bit like a standard zombie fighting game. It's a 4-person game. You can see the 4 players up there with their controllers. But what's important is that there's this box here that they designed that actually has smell inside of it, and fans that blow that smell out, and it's connected to the game. And you have to be able to smell the smells to be able to play. There's some zombies and also some humans, and you have to be able to tell if a human has been infected with the zombie virus or is a well person and needs to be inoculated. And the only way you can do that is by the smell that's going to come out is triggered out of this box. So if you smell a smell that's kind of healthy or like medicine, then they're a healthy human and you need to inoculate them. But if the smell is kind of musty and dirty and rotten, then it's somebody who has the zombie virus and you need to get rid of them. So you can't win this game unless you and your team are engaging the sense of smell. So I think that's really something that we should look forward to in other media as well. Okay, does everybody have their baggie? Because we're going to move from smell to taste now with our little experiment. And maybe the house lights could come up a tiny little bit, whoever's controlling that, so we can see each other. Okay, great. So open your baggie and take it out. We're going to go in order of the color on the balloons, starting with the yellow and then going red. Well, in mine it was kind of purple, but this one's sort of, I don't know, I guess it's purple, and then blue at the end. So what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you which color, and you'll put it in your mouth. You just need to sort of, in most cases, unless I say otherwise, just touch it to your tongue. And then I want, if you actually taste something when you put this on your tongue, to stand up. Can everybody? I know now we've gotten active, and we know that's important. So, all right, so take your yellow strip. You don't even have to take it off this thing if you don't want to, but you can. And touch it to your tongue. Does anyone taste anything in particular when they do that? Paper. You guys are cheating. You looked at the back, didn't you? Well, that was going to be a little bit of I was going to be surprised if someone stood up, but then, maybe, you need to just take your chewing gum out of your mouth or something, because that's the control strip. So now you know what nothingness tastes like in this test. It tastes like that. Great. You all passed. So now we're going to go, oh, that was yellow. So yeah, we're going to go to the red balloon. I'm not going to sing. I hear some people going, ugh. That's good. Okay. It probably won't be everybody. Don't feel peer pressure or anything. These are all, Okay. Cheryl, can you kind of help me get a ballpark on how many standing as opposed to sitting we see here? Maybe it's a little more than 50-50, I guess?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Something like that. Okay. Yeah. I had to write the pronunciation on my slide thing because I couldn't read it. Thiourea is what this is. And if you can taste it, it probably tastes bitter. Okay, you can sit down. And none of these things are poisonous or allergenic. Someone asked me yesterday if I was going to dose everyone on LSD, and we thought that would be really fun, but no. Okay. All right. Totally different experience. Try the next one, the sort of purplish one. I would be standing up at this point if I wasn't already. Okay.
Not as many. A third.
Now, this is interesting because it doesn't taste the same to everyone. Does anyone have a name for what the taste that they have in their mouth? What is it? Acidy. I like acid-ish. Like sour. Someone said salt. Anything else besides salty or sour? Like a self-adhesive what? Letter, or like the glue on a letter, kind of, or like stamps. Interesting. It seems to be different, based on what you had to eat that day. I don't know, because when I tried it yesterday, it tasted kind of sweet, like an artificial saccharine sweetness, and this time I didn't taste that, so I'm not sure. It's just probably whatever, I was chewing some gum or something. Well, this is sodium benzoate. It's often used in very, very tiny amounts as a preservative, but some people who are quite sensitive to it taste it when they're eating food that has been preserved in that. And it is very interesting because it can taste sweet or salty or some people bitter or sour. Like you all represented well the wide range of the possible ways that our taste sensation can react to this, to sodium benzoate. Okay, so last one, we're going to try the blue one. And this one, oh, if you haven't put it on your tongue yet, sorry, this one has a special. Just touch it briefly on your tongue. And if that's okay and that doesn't like shock you, okay, someone had to stand up already. That's if you touch it briefly on your tongue and you already taste something, stand up. But then if you haven't yet tasted something and you want to put it more, like chew it a little more, you might taste something then. Yeah, I taste something more when I've gnawed on it a little bit. Okay, what would you say this percentage is, Cheryl?
This is lowest.
Yeah, that's
a
lower.
Third,
it's lower than I expected. It's probably like 30 or 40%, maybe something like that. Okay, cool. You can sit back down now. So this one is, okay, another one I have to read to pronounce. It's nicknamed PTC, and that's because it's called Fennel Bio Carbamide. And it should be bitter. About 70% of the American population can taste this, but it ranges in other countries and other populations. Like some are almost 100% cannot, and then it gets down to like only 50% can. And the difference why I said to lick it first and then maybe chew it is because they've discovered there may be different receptors. One is immediate and others have to be more exposed to the saliva. And they call the people that have to chew on it mild tasters. So if you didn't taste anything at first, but you did later, you're a mild taster. And if you tasted it right away, then you're a taster. We're not even going into super tasters with this. So, so there's the names of all the things you were just tasting. And these are all genetically determined taste variations. So I don't want to really get into all of the science behind it. In fact, like my knowledge of it is pretty superficial, but I just wanted to point out that even within a kind of general population, you're going to get really strong chemically based differences in how something is experienced. And I think that's important for us as we move forward in designing things for these chemical senses to take into account. And it kind of explains why some people, maybe your kids, are like super picky eaters. Maybe to them the food really just tastes different. And it also explains all those cilantro haters out there. I don't know, maybe a lot of you might be among that population. I'm a cilantro lover, cilantro represent. But a lot of people don't feel that way. It tastes like soap and they won't go anywhere near it. So this is why it's genetic. And it's not a matter of opinion. It's not something that somebody can change about their preferences. So it's just important to note, and because it affects their experience so strongly. And in closing, I just want to say, as we're moving a lot forward with integrating these sort of real-world senses in interaction, it's important because we say that we want to create an interactive experience, but we can't really create a one-to-one experience. We can create a context or a situation in which someone else, the visitor, the player, is going to have their own very unique experience. So, and when they have that unique experience, that's when they have their own unique memories, like this scene from Ratatouille, which you might recall. So just something to keep in mind, that we can't make the experience, but we can create a context for them. Thank you.